Well, hello there, kids, campers. It's old Fang is here again, and just wanted to kind of say hi and tell you that I'm going to talk to you today about a little film called Born to Lose, the last rock and roll movie, and this is a completely different kind of addition to movies that got to me, and this is a movie that got to me in a whole different way. Now, this film was directed by Lech Kowalski, and the documentary about Johnny Thunders, legendary guitarist for the New York Dolls and the Heartbreakers. And oh boy, yeah, the good Heartbreakers with Walter Lure. Yeah, that Heartbreakers. If you know, you know. But boy, I'll tell you what. So this had been described to this has been described as a by a friend as quote unquote Mondo Thunders, and boy, if anything was an accurate description, it was that. I had a nasty hair day. I'm gonna go take a shower here shortly. Um, anyway, so my wife and I, both being longtime Johnny Thunders fans, were hot to catch it, and we were kind of, given a preface on the basic nature of the movie, and so you kind of have to figure that going in if you know anything about Johnny Thunders, and so tragic kind of crash and burn story. The guy was a notorious heroin addict, cleaned up a number of times, and got got uh, got back into it. And like a lot of other famous junkies, his old buddy Didi Ramon being especially kind of a notable kind of same thing is he just had gotten cleaned up and he went in for that one last shot, and it was more than he could handle. And this movie was more than we could handle. Funny thing was, we were originally going to watch this and the Larry Wildman Fisher documentary Derailroaded back to back. And I'm glad we decided that we weren't up for both at the same time, because I don't know that we could have handled that. I mean, I think that she and I would have basically both jumped in the bathtub with a set of matching razor blades and ended it all. That was some brutal stuff. And yeah, that latter movie we will get to. Trust me. So I would tell you, we are very choosy. We hate biopics. We both hate biopics. We are very choosy about documentaries, specifically music documentaries, and we're both big music fans. But we have many times, just stated how disappointed we are when we see various music documentaries and they seem to not focus much at all on the music. I mean, with Born to Lose, there is plenty of music. There's some good archival stuff, particularly that hilarious, if you've heard the Stations of the Cross live album from on the Reach Out International uh, label. Just hilarious version of Just Another Girl, with some funny banter between Johnny and Walter Lure, back and forth. They had that kind of acrimonious back and forth that was just a riot to listen to. As yeah, there is some good stuff going on there, but yeah, boy, the whole movie eventually it's like, yeah, this is not about Johnny Thunders rock and roll guy, Johnny Thunders musician, Johnny Thunders uh, songwriter, rock, Johnny Thunders rock and roll rock on tour or whatever. This is about Johnny Thunders junkie. And it's one of those things, it's kind of like the way Aleister Crowley used to hype himself, he used to kind of buy into his own hype and play up certain things like stories and rumors about how he climbed Mount Everest and ate his Sherpas and stuff like that. And he kind of played into it like, of course it was ridiculous. And of course he said, oh yeah, of course I did. Need salt. No, he didn't say that last part. But in a way he kind of played into that. And Thunders, in as much as you'd like to see him get credit for doing more than just being a junkie, he kind of bought heavily into that, and he kind of played heavily into that. And unfortunately, the one thing you saw with Johnny's life was there's, to quote Lemmy, there was a whole death culture revolving around heroin, and just the worst people in the world, when you're in that world, will come around to you and basically keep you going on that thread. And it's a story I've heard from many, many junkies. And unfortunately, I think that was the case. There are all kinds of sad, unsavory characters popping up through the whole thing. Willie DeVille, who's no longer with us at this stage in the game. Boy, Willie DeVille was kind of hanging around the time Johnny died, and there's just very incriminating interview footage of him the next day, and boy, it doesn't look good. It doesn't make for good viewing, and I would sincerely hope for his sake that the conclusions one might draw, are not true. But it ain't pretty, folks. There's one character in there who's kind of, I guess, a regular on the New York punk scene. His name was Spacely, and you get to see him kind of retroactively, kind of after the fact, and he's basically sitting in a hospital, lying in a hospital, dying of AIDS, and he's recounting this brawl that he and Johnny had during a gig or whatever, and of course, yeah, he's in the shape he's in. He looks like a scarecrow, and then they cut to a bunch of other stuff, and this is escalating toward the end of the movie, and you see it, going toward Johnny eventually ending up dead, and somewhere between just gigs and performances and certain things, it cuts back to Spacely lying there in his bed looking like he's seen a ghost, and then you realize he probably has, because he just died. So basically, yeah, you get to see this kind of sketchy motherfucker dying of AIDS right in front of you, and it's like, okay, boy, I did not need to see that. This movie just carries a whole pall of death and darkness, and it's bad news bears, folks. I would say, as a recommendation, I kind of recommend this to absolutely nobody. But if you're a Johnny Thunders fan, you might want to know. You might need to see this, but I don't know how thankful you're going to be afterwards. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, so yeah, just a happy bobsled ride through hell. Anyway, catch y'all on the flip flop, peeps.